What happens when a controversial prince sits across from America's most unapologetic talk show host, and everything spirals out of control? Tonight, we break down the explosive face off that at everyone talking. Prince Harry, Bill Maher. One stage, no filters. From awkward smiles to open conflict. This wasn't just an interview. It was a televised powder keg. Make sure to subscribe and drop a comment. Because what started as a simple conversation turned into one of the most uncomfortable moments in recent broadcast history. The studio lights were blazing. Bill Maher leaned back in his chair, that trademark smirk etched across his face. Across from him sat Prince Harry, fidgeting slightly, adjusting his jacket, the tension already visible. The audience buzzed. This was the kind of pairing where anything could happen. "So, Harry," Maher began casually, "you've gone from Buckingham Palace to a Montecito mansion. How's that working out for you?" Harry straightened up, clearly braced for the jab. "It's been liberating, actually. For the first time in my life, I can make my own decisions. No permission required from a 1,000-year-old institution." Maher raised an eyebrow. "Liberating?" he echoed. "Interesting. Because some might say you just swapped one institution for another. You left the Queen and found Netflix and Spotify." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Harry's jaw tightened. There's a difference between choosing partnerships and being trapped in a system that dictates every aspect of your life. Bill leaned forward, voice tinged with challenge. "But here's the thing. You had privilege most people can't even imagine. Elite education. Global platform. You were born into power. Then you leave it behind and come to America to talk about how hard your life was. That sounds a little tone-deaf, don't you think?" Harry's face flushed. "With respect, you're oversimplifying. Yes, I had privilege, but I also had zero privacy, no autonomy. I watched the media destroy my mother, and I wasn't gonna let that happen to my wife and kids." Maher cut in, the smile gone now. "Your mother, Princess Diana, she was adored. She used her platform, landmines, AIDS, global charities. She found a way to work within the system. Why couldn't you?" The question hit hard. Harry gripped the arms of his chair. "Because that same system killed her, Bill. The harassment, the cameras, the constant pressure, it never stopped. I made a choice to protect my family." "But here's where I'm confused," Maher continued. "You say you want privacy, but then you go on Oprah. You release a memoir, a Netflix series. You share every detail of your personal life with millions. That's not privacy. That's controlling the narrative." Harry shifted uncomfortably. "Sometimes you have to tell your story before others twist it. Or..." Maher shot back. "You're cashing in on the drama." Gasps from the audience. Harry sat frozen. "The royal family could have cut you off completely. But you still use your titles. You still trade on your connection for media deals. You can't have it both ways, Harry." The tension was thick. Every eye was locked on Harry. "I'm not trading on anything," he said, voice rising. "I'm sharing my truth about a system that's broken and dangerous." Maher gave a mocking nod. "Your truth," he said, making air quotes. "See, that's what drives me crazy. There's no your truth and my truth. There's just truth. And the truth is, you've made millions telling people how hard your privileged life was, while Americans are out here working 3 jobs just to stay afloat." Harry's face darkened. "You think I don't care about struggling people? I've worked with veterans, mental health charities, global organizations, and that's great." Maher cut in. "But you've also spent a lot of time talking about yourself, on platforms that paid you millions. There's a difference between advocacy and self-promotion." Harry snapped. "I'm not self-promoting. I'm trying to break cycles of generational trauma that no one inside that palace would even talk about." Maher leaned back, almost amused. Break cycles of trauma? Or monetize them? The audience fell dead silent. Harry leaned forward, voice tight with frustration. "You talk about resources like they erase trauma. Sure, I've had access to things most people don't. But money doesn't make you immune to grief, to loss, to psychological damage. Bill didn't flinch, no, but it sure cushions the fall, he said flatly. And here's what really gets me, Harry. You say you're breaking cycles, but from where I sit, it looks like you've just built a new one. One where family dysfunction is content. Trauma as a brand. The studio was silent. Not even the cameras dared move. Harry's hands curled into fists against the armrests. You have no idea what you're talking about. You've never lived in a world where your every move is dissected before you even learn to speak, where your childhood, your relationships, your grief become headlines. Bill stayed calm, too calm. You're right. I didn't grow up in a palace. I didn't inherit a trust fund. I didn't get to meet presidents and world leaders as a teenager. I just had to pay rent and figure out how to make it like everyone else. We all have problems, Harry. Yours just come with a butler. The room tensed. Harry's face had gone from flushed to furious. But he held on. Barely. You make a living being provocative, Bill. I get it. But this constant need to tear people down, to twist pain into punchlines, that's exactly why I left. This toxic cynicism. Maher raised a single eyebrow. Oh, so now I'm the villain. Not the guy who aired his family's secrets on global television. I'm just asking what millions are wondering. If you can't handle public scrutiny, maybe stop doing interviews. Harry's voice cracked slightly, but his stare was unwavering. This isn't scrutiny. It's mockery. You're minimizing trauma, questioning mental health, and twisting my mother's legacy. Maher raised his hands, pretending to be stunned. Whoa, when did I attack your mother? I said she was beloved. That she used her platform with purpose. You're the one using her name to deflect. And this whole institutional racism tangent, you dropped that like a grenade. Because it's all connected. Harry snapped. The way the media went after Meghan. The way the institution stood silent. The way people like you still minimize it all because it's inconvenient. The Bill blinked, caught off guard. People like me. What's that supposed to mean? People who benefit from the very systems they mock, Harry said, eyes flashing. Who joke about racism, mental health, misogyny. Because actually examining those issues would mean examining yourselves. The Maher's tone sharpened. You think I haven't been calling out institutions for decades. The church, the government, corporations, media, you name it. The difference is, I don't get paid $100 million by Netflix to do it, and I don't wear a crown while claiming to be a victim. Harry stood suddenly, his composure shattering. I never claimed to be a victim. I took responsibility. I left. I protected my wife. I protected my children. I spoke up when no one else would. No, Bill said. Rising too, you cashed out. You could have stayed and changed the institution from within. Instead, you turned your departure into a media empire. Do you have any idea how hard it was to walk away from everything I knew? Harry shouted. My military titles, my patronages, my family? Maher scoffed, waving a hand, and walked right into a mansion and a content deal. Spare me. That's not sacrifice. That's rebranding. The audience shifted in their seats, visibly uncomfortable. This was no longer entertainment. It was war. You know what your real problem is, Bill, Harry said, pointing directly at him. You hate that someone had the guts to walk away from a broken system, not just write jokes about it, not just talk from the sidelines, but actually leave. Corrupt system? Bill Maher laughed sharply, almost bitterly. Harry, you're talking about the British monarchy like it's the mob. These are your grandparents. Your father. Your brother. Are you really calling your own family corrupt? Harry's jaw clenched. I'm calling the institution corrupt. Not the people. Maher pounced. But the people are the institution. You can't pretend the system operates in a vacuum. If it's broken because of them. It's more complicated than that. Bill scoffed. No, it's not. What's complicated is why you and Meghan still use your titles, Prince Harry, Duchess Meghan. If you wanted a clean break, why not drop them altogether? Harry opened his mouth, then closed it again. It's nuanced. No. Maher snapped. It's convenient. You want the perks without the responsibility. You want to be royal when it benefits you. And just Harry when it doesn't. Harry stood abruptly. Pacing now, agitation rising. You're twisting everything. Maher leaned forward. I'm just pointing out the contradictions. You say you want privacy, but you give Oprah a global tell-all. You say you care about helping people, but your speaking fees are out of reach for most charities. You say you left for your family's safety, but then publish a book detailing their most private conversations. Those details provide context for why we had to leave. Or maybe, Bill cut in coldly, Random House paid you $20 million, and that context just happened to be marketable. Harry froze. His eyes locked on Maher. You have no idea what it's like to have your entire life dissected. Every motive questioned. Every move judged by people who know nothing about your reality. Bill didn't blink. Actually, I do. I've been in the public eye for decades. The difference is, I chose this life. You were born into it. And then, as an adult, you chose to monetize it. You can't say you want to be left alone while making a fortune off being famous. Harry's fists clenched at his sides. I'm done with this. Bill smirked. Of course, that's always the move, isn't it? When things get uncomfortable, walk away. I'm not walking away from anything that matters. Maher leaned in. The sarcasm cut like a blade. Really? Because you walked away from your military duties, from your work with UK charities, from your role in the Commonwealth, from your family. At what point do you stop running and start owning your choices, like an adult? The words landed like a slap. Harry stood frozen, face red, chest heaving. Then came the eruption. You want to talk about being an adult? Harry's voice trembled with fury. I served 2 tours in Afghanistan while you sat behind a desk telling jokes. I've worked with wounded veterans. Launched mental health initiatives. Tried to make a difference while being smeared daily by a system I never asked to be part of. What the hell have you done but mock people for a living? Bill's eyes gleamed with challenge. What have I done? I've called out hypocrisy, including yours. And right now, I see a man who can't handle being challenged without throwing a tantrum. This isn't a tantrum. This is me standing up to a bully. A bully. Bill laughed, cold, humorless. I'm asking the questions your publicist usually screens out. If that feels like bullying, maybe the problem isn't me. Harry stepped forward, his voice dropping to a razor's edge. The real problem is people like you, who've never had to make the choices I've made, who sit in judgment without understanding the cost of survival. Bill stood now, too, refusing to yield. You mean like choosing between Netflix and Spotify? Yeah, tough decisions. The audience was dead silent. Every breath, every twitch of muscle, captured on camera. This wasn't late-night entertainment anymore. This was blood sport. You know what, Bill? Harry said, quieter now, but more dangerous for it. I came here thinking we could talk like adults about serious issues. Mental health, media abuse, institutional failure. But all you want is a viral moment. A soundbite to feed your ego. Bill fired back without missing a beat. No, Harry. What you wanted was a platform to promote your latest brand drop without being held accountable. But that's not how this works. You put yourself in the public eye. You answer the public's questions. You don't get to cherry. Pick the ones that make you look good. I'm not trying to control anything. Harry growled. I'm trying to have a respectful conversation. Bill's voice rose. Respect? You called me a bully. You said I've never contributed anything to society. That's your version of respect. Harry's composure finally cracked. His voice surged with fury, no longer measured or royal, just raw. Because you haven't contributed anything, Bill. All you do is sit behind that desk, tear people down, and make cynical jokes out of real pain. You're not part of the solution. You're part of the problem. Bill's face flushed red, his voice rising. Part of the problem. I've spent 3 decades exposing corruption and hypocrisy across every institution you can name. The difference is, I don't get paid millions to do it, and I don't collapse in outrage when someone dares to disagree with me. I'm not collapsing, Harry shot back. I'm defending myself from constant, bad faith attacks. Bad faith. Bill leaned in, voice cold. Everything I've said tonight is based on your words, your interviews, your book. If that feels like an attack, maybe the problem is that your story doesn't add up. Harry was trembling now. His voice cracked, but it carried weight. It doesn't add up because life isn't neat, Bill. It's complicated. Sometimes you have to choose between 2 terrible options. Sometimes protecting your family means disappointing people who'll never understand why. The Bill didn't blink. Or sometimes it just means cashing in while telling people what they want to hear. Which one are you doing right now? That was it. Harry's expression hardened. He jabbed a finger in Maher's direction, voice fierce. You know what? I'm done. With this interview. With your smugness. With pretending this isn't just a hit piece for ratings. Bill spread his hands mockingly. A hit piece. For asking questions about your own choices. If you can't handle that, maybe stop doing interviews altogether. The Harry's voice dropped to a dangerous calm. Maybe you're right. Maybe I shouldn't waste my time talking to people who decided what they think of me before I ever walked in the room. I haven't decided anything, Bill said, tone biting. I'm just trying to understand how someone born with every advantage in the world ended up feeling sorry for himself. That landed like a slap. Harry's face went pale, then red again. You think this is about self-pity? His voice climbed with fury. This is about accountability, about calling out a system that chews people up to protect its image. My mother died under that system. My wife nearly broke under it. But you just reduce it to punchlines. And you just turn it into a paycheck. Maher replied coolly. I'm not the one monetizing trauma. That's your brand. Because everything's about money with you. Harry snapped. You can't imagine someone standing for something without a price tag attached. I can imagine it, Bill said coldly. I just haven't seen any evidence of it from you. Silence. Not a single laugh. Not a whisper from the stunned audience. The air was electric. Something irreversible had just happened. Harry stood still for a moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft but laced with venom. This conversation tells me everything I need to know about you. And nothing I didn't already know about myself. I came here in good faith, to have a real dialogue, and you turned it into a circus. Maher started to respond. Harry, no. I'm talking now. Harry stepped closer to the desk. You've built a career out of tearing down people who try to make change. You call it truth-telling, but all you do is mock pain and punch down. You're not brave, Bill. You're not honest. You're just another entertainer profiting off other people's suffering. Bill's smile disappeared. His tone darkened. At least I admit what I am. I don't pretend to be a savior while collecting checks from Netflix. The Harry turned toward the edge of the stage. He didn't stop walking. And I don't pretend to be a journalist while conducting character assassinations for applause. Bill's voice rang out behind him. Where are you going? Harry, we're not finished. Harry paused at the edge of the lights, turning once, his voice icy. Yes, we are. This interview's over, just like any respect I had for you or this show. You can't just walk out. Watch me. And with that, Prince Harry walked off the set, leaving Bill Maher standing alone, jaw clenched behind his desk, the audience frozen in stunned silence. The cameras rolled for a few final seconds, catching the disbelief on Maher's face as reality settled in. When he finally spoke, his voice had lost its signature confidence. Well, that's one way to end an interview. This wasn't just TV. It was war. A public clash over legacy, privilege, pain, and who gets to define the truth. What do you think? Was Harry right to walk off? Or did Maher simply ask what others were thinking? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more dramatic showdowns, where reputations are made and undone.